Welcome to Leadership Talk Meeting Minutes. What is Leadership Talk? Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development industry leadership staff provide free webinars on building the organizational capacity within the agriculture sector, which results in high-performing organizations. This content is designed for informational purposes only. This information is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice. Organizations should consult their professional advisors related to specific situations. Topics covered in today's webinar will include what are minutes, why they are important, best practices, board roles and responsibilities, taking good minutes, and tools for minute taking. The Gage Canadian Dictionary, 1998, defines minutes as a memorandum or written record, the official record of the proceedings at a meeting of a society, board, committee, etc. The fact sheet record keeping for non-profit organizations from the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs describes minutes as an important part of an organization's records. They document actions that determine the fulfillment of legal duties, are a record of the proceedings of a meeting, records how decisions are made, the resulting actions and persons responsible, and clarifies what actually happens at a meeting. The fact sheet also describes minutes as a tool for organization and board development that helps orientate new members to the organization, which is especially beneficial for organizations or committees experiencing a high turnover and are useful for evaluating the work of the organization. Minutes act as a corporate memory. They tell the story of the organization long after the board and directors have moved on. Historical background for future reference. They provide a record of what members accomplished at the meeting, not a transcript of what was said. They act as an objective record for meeting participants, related to how agreement was reached or disagreements arose, who was assigned specific tasks, and the date tasks are to be completed. To protect the organization and the people associated, it is wise for non-profit organizations to keep meeting minutes with accurate records of all matters considered motions and approved actions. Under the Corporations Act, it is a legal requirement for all organizations registered as corporations to keep accurate minutes. Board-approved meeting minutes serve as a legal record of what actually occurred at a meeting, and they are admissible as evidence in court. Minutes protect the organization in these ways. They serve as proof of active and informed deliberation by the board and demonstrate courses of action considered. They document the decision-making process, including what was considered, what was authorized, and who is responsible for the action. They show that the board acted in the best interests of the organization, in good faith, and took reasonable steps to prevent harm, including due diligence, duty of care, and duty of loyalty. They provide proof that directors acted in the best interests of the organization, even at the expense of self-interest, fiduciary duty. And they provide proof that the board's actions were according to the proper procedures in the organization's constitution, bylaws, and policies and procedures. The fact sheet, Meeting Minutes, Building Your Organization's Effectiveness, is an excellent resource for organizations. It is available on our Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development website. The link will also be shared at the end of the webinar. All the members of the organization and the board, as well as the officers, have a role in ensuring that the organization has good minutes. Members of the organization and the board submit written reports to the secretary as required. Some organizations ask that all reports be submitted in writing. This will speed up the meeting as the secretary does not have to record or summarize the report. Members serve as minute checkers. Some organizations appoint minute checkers particularly for annual meetings. All organization or board members have the responsibility to review the minutes for accuracy, for knowledge of the activities of the organization, and to point out any errors or omissions. Board members make and pass a motion to approve the minutes. The roles and responsibilities of the president are to provide the agenda in advance to allow the secretary time for preparation. The secretary may wish to use the agenda as a template for the handwritten or electronic minutes of the meeting. Ensure the secretary has time to record the activities of the meeting. Ensure motions are made and passed to adopt the minutes. And finally, the president signs the approved minutes. The secretary has the major role of ensuring accurate minutes. Their duties include circulating meeting notices, which may include an agenda, minutes of the last meeting, and committee reports, takes attendance, records the business of the meeting, circulates the minutes to the organization, and signs the approved minutes. In addition, the secretary archives and stores the minutes as stated in the policies and procedures, and they have minutes available for reference at future meetings. Minute takers must be good listeners, effective communicators, critical thinkers, and excellent organizers. Minute takers should understand and be familiar with the organization and past minutes, have background knowledge on agenda topics, know meeting participants and the spelling and pronunciation of their names, sit next to the chairperson, and this is for ease of communication and so the chair can ensure that the minute taker is keeping up. The Minute Taker's Guide by the University of Victoria defines these 3 types of minutes. Formal minutes support a meeting governed by a chair according to a parliamentary code or procedure. There are a number of reference guides to parliamentary procedure, such as Robert's Rule of Order or Procedures for Meetings and Organizations. Semi-formal or action minutes are used by small groups who do not have a clearly defined operating structure. Semi-formal or informal minutes use a modified version of parliamentary procedure. They record what occurred at the meeting for absent members and for future reference. They summarize the action taken, the action planned, the people responsible, and the deadlines. Minutes are written in a narrative format in complete sentences. They include some background information, keeping in mind they are solely written for the benefit of people already familiar with the group and its activities. Action minutes are best suited for informal meetings where discussions lead to actions or decisions. They can be written in point form. You need to identify the person or persons responsible for future actions and set time limits. This webinar deals mainly with formal minutes. Regardless of the type of minutes used, they should always be an objective recording of what happened at a meeting. Minutes should be concise. A good example would be 1 to 2 pages of minutes for a 1-hour meeting. 5 pages would be too much for the same length of meeting. They should be accurate and complete and convey the tone of the meeting. The fact sheet record keeping for non-profit organizations from the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs gives these suggestions. Decide how the minutes will be recorded before the meeting. What format will be used, formal or point form? While written minutes are still most common, electronic methods are growing in popularity. If using computer technology, make sure policies exist to ensure no alteration or manipulation of content, and that personal data contained in the minutes is kept private. This is especially important with home-based computers. Taping minutes and transcribing the minutes afterwards is another option. While the tape itself is not an official record, organizations still need a policy on how long to keep the tapes, who has access to them, and how to ensure no tampering. Avoid using abbreviations, if possible, unless they are going to be understood by the membership in 5 to 10 years. Good minutes ensure everyone receives the same information at the same time. Reduce tension and conflicts, initiate problem solving or decision sharing, keep misunderstandings to a minimum, and outline work assignments. Minutes do not record word-for-word conversation and discussion, speakers' experiences, old material, redundant information, withdrawn motions, or personal comments. List only important facts mentioned in a discussion. The minutes should reflect what is done and what was said. Personal comments and opinions should not be recorded. The basic format of the minutes should always follow the agenda. Be consistent in numbering. The opening section includes the name of the organization and type of meeting, date and time, as well as location. Attendance. List all those in attendance in person, followed by any who are attending by telephone or electronically if this is allowed by the bylaws of the organization. Then list any who have sent their regrets. Make a note whether quorum is reached. Some organizations will list what is required for quorum. Always take note of people arriving late or leaving early, or just entering and exiting the meeting, as this may impact quorum. Call to order. Note who called the meeting to order and the time. Approval of agenda. This is done by motion. You may also include a motion regarding adjournment time. Review of previous minutes. This indicates if read or circulated, as well as any corrections and motion to adopt. Executive and committee reports could include secretary, may include a list of correspondence, or this may be attached to the agenda or as an appendix to the minutes. Treasurer includes financial report, update on budget, any bill payment. Vice chairperson, chairperson, reports from special and standing committees. Unfinished or old business. New business, and conclude the meeting. Next meeting, motion to adjourn, and time. Now let's look at what to record. All the pros and cons of ideas and discussions. New information, past minutes tell history. All motions passed and defeated. The results of motions, and expected action from the motions or discussions. There are two standard methods for recording motions. Option 1, name, motion carried, name, motion defeated. Or Option 2, moved by, seconded by, motion carried, moved by, seconded by, motion defeated. When recording the results of votes, usually you just record if the motion was carried or defeated. Other options for recording results are: record the number of votes for, against, or abstained, then carried or defeated. Roll call. Record how each attendee voted and then carried or defeated. Secret ballot. This method should be noted in the minutes. Then, note the result of the vote. It may include numbers for, against, and spoiled. Your organization bylaws may outline how votes are to be handled and noted in the minutes. Please note, if your organization uses secret ballot, there should always be a motion to destroy the ballots. At any time, an individual may request that the minutes show how they voted or that they abstained. Minutes should also note any members who excuse themselves from discussing or voting on an issue due to conflict of interest. The Gage Canadian Dictionary defines conflict of interest as a clash or opposition between the private interests and the public responsibilities of a person in a position of trust, such as a government official. Organization members have a fiduciary responsibility to act in good faith and in the best interests of the organization. They hold a position of public trust. A conflict of interest could arise because of direct personal interest or those of close family members or friends. The organization's constitution and bylaws will usually describe what is considered a conflict of interest and how conflicts of interest are to be treated. It is best practice for any individual with a conflict of interest to excuse themselves from the meeting while discussion and voting occurs. As mentioned, this should be noted in the minutes as well as when the member returns to the meeting. This is to ensure that there is no appearance that the member in conflict may have influenced the decision. After the motion has been passed, the President will consider is an action required and ensure the actions are taken. The minutes should note any actions required, including who, what, and the time frame. For example, a committee will investigate the cost of replacing the roof and report at the next meeting. Be sure to list the names of the committee members and the chairperson. Now, let's look at minutes and in-camera sessions. This is a Latin phrase meaning in room. It designates a private meeting or portion of the meeting not open to the public. The minutes require a motion to go in camera, including the time, a motion to go out camera, noting the time. In camera is most often used for discussion purposes, particularly for topics that relate to human resources or legal issues. Discussion that occurs in camera is not noted in the minutes of the general meeting. The organization may have policies regarding minutes of an in-camera meeting. Motions related to the in-camera discussion may be brought back to the general meeting for approval and are noted in the minutes. As mentioned earlier, some organizations appoint minute checkers. This may happen particularly for annual meetings or for meetings with a large number of people attending. These individuals will take notes during the meeting of key items such as who made motions and review the minutes for accuracy before distribution. Minute checkers report any errors or omissions to the secretary for corrections before the minutes are circulated to the membership or board. The rule of thumb for minute distribution is 24 hours for weekly meetings, 48 to 72 hours for monthly or quarterly meetings. Your organization's policies and procedures may outline the time frame for distribution. For example, some organizations choose to send out their minutes with the notes of the next meeting. Minutes of annual general meetings are often not circulated until the next annual general meeting and may be included in a meeting package with the agenda, financial report, and other reports. Remember, minutes are in draft until approved at next meeting. Approval of minutes occurs when minutes are distributed to the members for review. This may be a hard copy or electronically. If minutes are distributed electronically, it is recommended that the documents be saved as a PDF so that no changes can inadvertently be made. At the next meeting with quorum, the minutes may be read, or the chair may draw the attention of the members to a print copy that was circulated. Those in attendance are asked if there are any errors or omissions. Errors or omissions are corrected on the official copy of the minutes. Errors or omissions are noted in the minutes of the current meeting. A motion is made and passed to adopt the minutes as read, circulated, or corrected or amended. The President and Secretary should sign and date the copy of the minutes. The minutes are added to the official minute book or electronic file. There are many tools available for taking minutes. This helpful checklist is available on the Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development website. This minute template was developed from the agenda template on the Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development website. The template you use should follow the agenda of the meeting, being sure that the numbering matches the agenda. A template can be used for either handwritten or electronic minutes. When handwriting, it is recommended that you set up your template using an adequate amount of space to record motions or discussion related to the agenda topic. Use only one side of the paper. This leaves room for sections that require more notes. Using a template saves time, as you do not need to write or type each agenda item during the meeting. Motion templates save time because the secretary is not trying to write down the motion. Keep up with changes to wording and document pertinent discussions at the same time. They also reduce error, as the mover and seconder write out the motion as they intend and note any changes. If your organization uses motion templates, they should be available at all meetings, be completed by the mover and seconder, be provided to the president to read for the vote, be given to the secretary to transcribe into the minutes after the meeting, and be kept as part of the original notes of the meeting. Reports should be written out by the presenter and given to the secretary in writing. This can be before the meeting, at the meeting, or immediately after. If this process is used, the report is not rewritten in the minutes. The report is attached to the minutes in an appendix and is coded with the number of the agenda item for easy reference. And the minutes will note that the report is attached. This saves time at the meeting, as the secretary is not trying to jot down the report and make note of any discussion. Some organizations require reports to be submitted in advance, and then they are circulated to the membership prior to the meeting. This allows members the time to familiarize themselves with the content and be prepared to discuss any issues. In summary, minutes are a formal written document. They are an objective record of the proceedings of a meeting. They record how decisions are made, the resulting actions, and a person's responsibility. They clarify what actually happened at a meeting. And finally, they are an excellent tool for organization and board development. Minutes act as a corporate memory, or an objective record provided to meeting participants, are a legal requirement under the Corporations Act, are a legal record of what occurred, and protect the organization, board, and membership. Here are some helpful resources available from the Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development Industry Leadership website. Meeting Minutes Best Practices can be found at this link. You will find the Meeting Minutes checklist at this link. The minute template, motion template, and report template can be found on the Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development Industry Leadership webpage. The record keeping for non-profit organizations from the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs is available at this link. Another good resource is the Meeting Guidebook from Alberta Agriculture. You can find it at this link. Stay connected by sending questions to leadership@gov.mb.ca. Make time to visit our Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development Industry Leadership webpage at www.gov.mb.ca/agriculture. There you will find a number of resources, including fact sheets and worksheets, templates and guidebooks that will help you strengthen your organization. You will also find contact information for rural leadership specialists who are available to work with your agriculture organization. The website contains a wealth of information related to starting an organization, developing a strategic plan, being a board member, board operations, dissolving an organization. The resources section also contains a number of tools and links that you will find helpful. Please join the conversation with Manitoba Agriculture and Resource Development. Subscribe to our newsletter at this link. Visit our website, manitoba.ca/agriculture. Call our General Inquiries line, 1-844-769-6224. View our videos on YouTube, youtube.com/Manitoba Agriculture. Follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/MBGOVAG.